Okay, this is People of the State of Michigan versus Ricky Houston, docket number 20-244FH. Mr. Houston, this is the time set for sentencing. You were convicted of operating while intoxicated, third offense. That is a felony punishable by up to 5 years in prison. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. You are represented by Mr. Sartz here. And Mr. Sartz, have you had a chance to review the pre-sentence report with your client?
We have, Your Honor.
Do you have any additions, deletions, or corrections?
Well, Your Honor, Mr. Houston seems to recall the terms of his plea bargain being a sentencing agreement of no upfront jail at this time. My notes had indicated it was going to be county cap, Your Honor. The plea was so long ago at this point, I can't recall off the cuff.
No, it was most definitely 12 months, no
12
more
months.
than.
Okay. I'll just state for the record then that was Mr. Houston's recollection of what the plea deal was, Your Honor, just for the record. Thank you.
No other corrections to the report?
None, Your Honor.
Okay. And any objection to the scoring of the guidelines?
None from the defense, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Allen, for the people, any corrections to the report or objections to scoring?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Did the people wish to be heard?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, Mr. Sartz.
Thank you, Your Honor. I think the pre-sentence report does a pretty good job of explaining some of the backstory about Mr. Houston. I think to his credit, Your Honor, I think he's finally turned a corner with a lot of these underlying issues. He's done a great job of managing his mental health for about the past year or so. He's been on his medication. In fact, he's scheduled for another shot today. He has a stable place where he can stay with his mother. He's been doing a good job of staying out of any new allegations or anything along those lines. He assures me, Your Honor, that he's been clean and sober for an extended period of time. In fact, he's been on an alcohol scram tether. And while there were some allegations, Your Honor, there's also been some concern about the calibrations with those tethers. And I to his credit, to the best of my knowledge, he stayed clean and sober this entire time, Your Honor. So I think that Mr. Houston is in a good, stable situation right now, where he's on his medication, where he's going to CMH, where he's enjoying a stable situation with his housing, where he has someone who can keep track of his location, where he's someone he cares very much for nearby. His mother's been a huge help to him as he's been working through these issues. And ultimately, I think this comes back to underlying mental health issues and addiction, Your Honor. And I think respectfully at this point, that if the court was interested in some type of inpatient, I would simply request that we try outpatient first for them at this stage, because again, as long as he's staying stable with this mental health medication, which he is, he does not seem to have the impulses to want to drink. There seems to be correlation to when he starts to get off his medication, or they adjust his medication to where he potentially is more inclined to relapse into those types of behaviors. So respectfully, Your Honor, I think the recommendation of the 2 years probation is fair here. I think I would respectfully request that the court look at alternatives besides a remand and inpatient at this time. I think Mr. Houston would do a great job of given the opportunity just to stay out and continue to work on his life and stay stable. And then if down the line, if he does run into some difficulties, Your Honor, of course, the court always has those options to send an inpatient or potentially prison if it was warranted, Your Honor. So respectfully, I would request the court follow the recommendations of the 2 years of probation here, with the caveat being that Mr. Houston be given an opportunity to stay out and possibly pursue some outpatient first before possibly being remanded for additional treatment, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Houston, is there anything you wanted to say?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Well, even if you've had a short period of sobriety here, I think the issue is extremely serious. From the pre-sentence report, just on this offense, it indicates that you drank a fifth of vodka and you had a 0.21 blood alcohol level. So the recommendation here would allow you to continue your mental health treatment, which I agree is very, very much needed, and also address what I think is a pretty long-standing and significant alcohol problem at the same time. So I'm going to follow the recommendation and place you on probation for a period of 24 months, 365 days in jail with credit for 4 days served. I will suspend the balance of your jail time when you get into the House of Commons if you successfully complete that program. You have to pay $130 to the Crime Victims Fund, $68 in state costs. I'm waiving oversight fees. I am waiving costs to the county. Additional conditions of probation are no use or possession of alcoholic beverages or controlled substances or drug paraphernalia or medical marijuana. Comply with both drug and alcohol testing as your agent directs. You must complete outpatient or residential substance abuse treatment if you're referred, and again, I'm sending you to the House of Commons, so you must complete that. You must complete a substance abuse assessment if you are referred by your agent. You must take medication as prescribed by a licensed physician. You must complete whatever mental health or other treatment is recommended for you. Again, you must complete the House of Commons program, waive confidentiality, and allow any program you're in to disclose information about you to your agent. You must not engage in any assaultive, abusive, threatening, or intimidating behavior. No contact with anyone you know to have a felony record. You may not change your residence unless you first get written permission from your agent. You can't possess a weapon while you're on probation. You must comply with all the written and verbal orders of your agent, let the agent into your home at any time, and submit to a search of your person or property without need of a warrant. Report any changes to your agent within 24 hours. Be in your approved residence between the hours of 9 p.m. and 6 a.m. unless you're excused by your agent. And your driver's license must be revoked. You may not drive a motor vehicle while your license is revoked. And there is a $110 OWI reimbursement that I have to order. And Mr. Houston, you have the right to file an application for leave to appeal your conviction and your sentence in this matter. You're entitled to an attorney at public expense to assist you in doing that. If you're making a request for one, you have to make it within 42 days of today's date. It explains that more on the form that you just received right there. And you should just know that that time period of 42 days starts running from today. So I am going to remand you to the sheriff, and then as soon as you can get it to the House of Commons, if you complete that program, you won't do any other additional time. Okay?
So
You're remanded to the sheriff.
can I have a couple of days to take care of my business because I thought I had any deals doing front jail time.
I can't do that, Mr. Houston, considering the seriousness of your situation as I see it, so you are remanded to the sheriff.
All right, let me give my mom this money real quick. Here, my
Well, how
mom.
much
You want to
money?
give that to your mom?
Yeah, all right. What you do? How much do you have on you? Okay, anything else? Okay, let's go. Grab your piece of paper. I got it.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I'll be right back to copy, you okay?
Is there anything else that you want?
Is there anything else? Mr. Houston, is there anything else? All right, come on in. All right.
I'll be right back with you, okay?
Oh my goodness. That's bad. You've been doing good for a whole year.
Oh, I'm still, these are still.
Okay,
yeah.
good.
I don't get the deal. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
We're live. Mr. Price is just connecting to audio. It looks like he's with us. Okay. This is People of the State of Michigan versus Janvin Price, docket number 20-852FH. This is the time set for sentencing, Mr. Price. Can you just confirm for me that you are in agreement with doing the sentencing remotely instead of being in the courtroom?
Yes, I agree.
Thank you. You were convicted of third-degree child abuse. That is a felony punishable by up to 2 years in prison. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. You are represented by Mr. Cornish. And Mr. Cornish, have you had a chance to go through the pre-sentence report with your client?
Afternoon again, Your Honor. Yes, we have.
I'm sorry, this is my fault.
Wait a minute, we're having a recording problem.
Have we clicked it? That was my fault. Okay, we're good.
Did you lose part of what I did already?
You may have to start over, yes.
Okay, I'm told I have to
I
start over.
apologize.
This is People of the State of Michigan versus Janvin Price, docket number 20-852FH. Mr. Price, I'm sorry. Confirm for me once again that you're okay with doing this remotely.
Yes, I'm okay with doing this.
Thank you. You were convicted of third-degree child abuse. That is a felony punishable by up to 2 years in prison. You have the right to an attorney. You are represented by Mr. Cornish. Mr. Cornish, have you had a chance to go through the pre-sentence report with your client?
Good afternoon again, Your Honor. Yes, we did get a chance to review that.
Do you have any additions, deletions, or corrections?
Not to the body of the report, Your Honor.
Do you have any objection to the scoring of the guidelines?
No objection. I think Ms. Eisenhut and I have a stipulated change that she was going to put on.
Okay, Ms. Eisenhut, you want to take that?
Thank you, Your Honor. The people would put to the court that PRV should be properly scored at 2 and not 10. It appears the defendant has only one scorable misdemeanor. That would change the total PRVs to 17, with the guideline range being changed to 0 to 11.
Okay, you cut out a little bit. So that was PRV 3?
PRV 5, I'm sorry, Your Honor.
You would think by now I would have it memorized which ones are which, but I still for some reason can't seem to do that. So PRV 5 is 2 points.
Yes, Your Honor.
And that takes us to 17. And then what's the PRV level?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I will get that for you right now. Your Honor, that would put us at C instead of D.
Okay, and then no changes to the OVs?
Not from the people, Your Honor.
Okay, and then the range is what?
Would be 0 to 11, as opposed to
All right.
0 to 17.
Did you have any other changes to the report, Ms. Eisenhut?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
And was there a victim or someone on behalf of the victim to be heard?
Your Honor, the victim is not present today, but she did provide me with a written statement that she would like me to read to the court.
Go right ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. This crime has affected my entire family, me, Janavin, and Harmony, mentally and emotionally ever since the day it happened. Janavin has not been the same, and I think it hurt him more emotionally and mentally more than anything he feels. Like, how can the man that was supposed to always make him feel safe hurt him in any way? For a while after the abuse, he was in a state of depression where he didn't want to leave the house, do anything. He was mean, defensive, and ready to attack, always crying over little things. Things had gotten so bad it had put me in a dark place. Seeing my son so hurt, it hurt me and broke me down, causing me to become depressed as well. Being a single parent is always hard. Then you have a child that's going through a depression stage is even harder. I don't understand how someone who really loves and cares for the child would do something like this. Janavin didn't deserve what happened, deserve what his dad did to him. He looks up to his dad. He thought he would the world of his dad. How could he do such a thing? Sometimes he blames me for what his dad did to him, and I have to take the blame, hurt, and pain that his dad caused. This has been hard for me, Janavin, and Harmony. His dad deserves to get the max sentence, parenting classes, counseling, therapy, and whatever else might help with his abusive ways. Sincerely, Chevy Taylor. And Your Honor, that is the victim's mother in this case.
Thank you. Did the people wish to be heard?
Your Honor, the people would ask that the court follow the Killebrew agreement in this case. Nothing further. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Cornish?
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, I would also ask the court to follow the Killebrew agreement. I would ask the court to take an acknowledgement that while this act has been done and my client admitted to it, he didn't try to obfuscate that. I think we even took the plea at the very first pretrial, if I recall. He's in parenting time classes, my understanding. He's working with the friend of the court through the NA court. He has an attorney I've been in constant contact with. He's very serious about doing the right thing going forward. And while it didn't come across very well in the report, I think part of that is the NA case is very significant and still ongoing, and we're still working with his other attorney to make sure that we don't do something wrong there that affects him there from this. But at the same time, acknowledging his mistakes or bad choices, sorry, Your Honor, and moving forward. So I'd like to thank the court for the opportunity of talking and ask the court to take that into consideration based on the comments from the report writer about his lack of responsibility. I think that that's
All
the
right, thank you.
crossover conflict.
Thank you. And Mr. Price, is there anything you wanted to say?
I just want to say I want to apologize to the courts for what happened. I wanted to say what I did was wrong, and I wish I could talk to my son. I mean, I want to talk to my son. I want to get back with my son and do whatever I can. I'm taking parenting classes, and there's another class I'm taking for child behavior and the way you talk to kids. But I'm taking different classes and everything I have to do. Trying my best to get my kids back in my life.
Okay, thank you. Well, there is a Killebrew agreement here, a sentence agreement of no upfront jail. And I will go along with that because I think that it was negotiated by both sides for reasons that I don't need to know or be involved with, but I assume that it serves, well, I assume that the victim would have agreed to it. And that's extremely important to me, although she does now ask for the maximum sentence. I understand why she asks for that. Because quite frankly, Mr. Price, I appreciate the efforts that you're making to get your son back and the classes that you're taking and everything. And that's, you can redeem yourself from this. But the act itself, punching your 8-year-old son in the face and partially or completely, I can't tell which, knocking out his tooth, that's despicable. It's inexcusable. There's no reason for it other than you can't control yourself. And at that time, you were not fit to be a father. You can change that and you can earn your way back, but it's going to take work on your part. So that's not my jurisdiction. That's another court. And hopefully you will work towards that because obviously this damage that you've done is not just physical, but it's damage to a lot of people's psyches. You should be accountable for that, and you should also fix the problem that led you there in the first place. So I am going to follow the Killebrew agreement and place you on probation for a period of 18 months, 2 days in jail with credit for 2 days served. You have to pay $130 to the Crime Victims Fund, $68 in state costs. I'm waiving supervision fees, cost to the county in the amount of $500 based on the State Court Administrative Office calculated average cost of a criminal case in Ingham County. Additional conditions of probation are you may not use or possess alcoholic beverages or controlled substances or drug paraphernalia or medical marijuana. You must comply with both drug and alcohol testing as your agent directs. You must not engage in any assaultive, abusive, threatening, or intimidating behavior. No contact with anyone you know to have a felony record. You can't possess a weapon while you're on probation. You must contact your agent no later than the first business day following placement on probation. You must comply with all the written and verbal orders of your agent. Let the agent into your home at any time and submit to a search of your person or property without need of a warrant. Report any changes to your agent within 24 hours. You may not have any verbal, written, electronic, or in-person contact with Janovan Price Jr., either directly or through another person, or be within 500 feet of his residence, school, or place of employment, unless it is sanctioned by the family court or the protective services. I will defer to anything that they see as appropriate, perhaps supervised, whatever they decide, I don't know. But anything outside that is prohibited while you're on probation. You must complete a parenting program when referred by your agent, and you have the right to file an application for leave to appeal your conviction and your sentence in this matter. You're entitled to an attorney at public expense to assist you in doing that. If you're making a request for one, you have to make it within 42 days of today's date. There is a form you use to do that. We will send it to you. You should just know that the time period of 42 days starts running from today. And unless, remember I did tell you you have to contact your agent within 24 hours. So make sure you call up adult probation within 24 hours just to get your probation all started and get everything in place. If you don't know the number, Mr. Cornish can provide it to you, but just make sure you take care of that right away. So unless you have any questions, Mr. Price, you're all set. Good luck.
You should have that form as well in your email box, Mr. Price, your appellate right form.
Okay. All right, you're all set then. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thanks, Teddy.